Peace and love, y'all. I got some big things to talk about today. First of all, I'm gonna tell you what happened to me after 2 years of meditating every single day because I just hit my anniversary. And then, if you've never meditated before, I'm gonna give you a framework of how you can get into it so you get comfortable with it and become proficient in meditation. And if you have meditated before, I'm gonna give you some useful tips just to improve your practice. So let's get into it. All right, so just for reference, my name is Itai. I'm 23 years old. I'm now a yoga, meditation, and breathwork teacher, but I started meditating just about 2 years ago when I just turned 21. And my introduction to meditation was through yoga. But I went to a yoga studio that was not emphasizing meditation at all. Nothing about yoga philosophy, nothing even about breathwork. It was more of like a workout class. And I even found that really beneficial because just by doing all the yoga poses, I was able to look deep into my mind and realize that by changing my body, I was changing my thoughts. How profound is that? That by doing a stretch, I found that my thoughts actually changed. And if that makes you skeptical, just try it and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's pretty amazing. They say in yoga philosophy, and I've learned through experience, that every physical knot in your body corresponds to a mental block. So if you're tight in your hamstrings, it means you're tight in some region of your cognition. If your back hurts, it means something hurts in your frontal lobes. These are just abstract examples, but it goes to say that by working on your body, you are working on your mind. And that got me thinking about the inverse. As I was in all these yoga classes, stretching, but not thinking too much about my thoughts, I still noticed things change. And then I was like, wait, what if I start working on my brain? Will my body change? What else will change in my life? So that led me for the first time to just sit still, close my eyes, and do nothing. And wow, what a transformative experience that was. Fast forward 2 years, now I'm at the point where if I got 5 minutes, rather than stretching or moving my body, I will be meditating 10 times out of 10. Because, spoiler alert, yes, it does actually change your body when you sit still with your thoughts. But beyond that, the act of stillness in this world is a crazy act of rebellion. Rebellion against the systems that want to keep you complacent, distracted, and mentally unwell. That's why it's so important to meditate, because you're saying, nah, I know there are a million things I gotta do, a million things that should stress me out, but I choose me. I choose stillness. I choose to be a human being, not a human doing. And that simple decision changed everything for me. It made me realize the power of stillness. It made me realize the power of empty space, of negative space. It made me realize how much we all suppress our thoughts, suppress our individuality, suppress our desires and needs when we're constantly consuming. I'm not just talking about consuming videos on your phone. I'm talking about when you're talking to other people, when you're eating a meal, when you're watching a little TV before bed, even when you're reading the newspaper. This stuff's not inherently bad. It's food, and food helps you survive. But let me remind you that all that stuff is meaningless if you don't have a healthy place to live in when there's no consumption being fed to you. Meaning when you're not distracted, is your brain a fun place to be? Because guess what? You can never move out. You can move out of your crib. You can break up with your lover. You can never stop living in your thoughts. So first priority for everyone in this life should be make your thoughts a fun and safe place to be. There's no better way to do that than meditating. Journaling is a close second, but I got enough other videos about that. Today we're here to talk about meditating. How can we turn our mind into a palace where we want to live? Just by becoming familiar with it. You know, in many languages, they will translate meditation as the act of getting familiar with something. In other words, awareness. Awareness and understanding is the cure for all hate, for all anger, for all jealousy, for all fear. If you can understand something, you will no longer respond negatively to it. And for a lot of us, our minds really deceive us because we fear the possibility that we're projecting, the story that we're telling ourselves, rather than the reality of the situation we're actually in. We suffer way more in our head than we do in reality. So leave a comment below and let me know what was one time where you suffered way more in your head than you did in reality. Maybe you were thinking a situation was gonna go a certain way, and then when it actually happened, you were just like, oh, I was projecting all of that. None of that was actually in reality, it was just all in my head. Happens to me all the time. I'll tell you this one story. I was backpacking through Catalina Island in California with my homie, and as soon as I heard that there were bison roaming the island, my hyperfixation just went there. I was so anxious that I was gonna get mauled by a bison. What an improbable thing to worry about. But there I was. I couldn't stop thinking about getting mauled by a bison. And as a response, I was training my nervous system to act as though I was really running for my life, really in danger, really facing this wild beast. When really, I was safe, bro. Not only that, they didn't want any smoke with me. They didn't want anything to do with me. But in my head, I was thinking that I was already being attacked. So I was training my body to secrete stress hormones, to raise its body temperature, to get my heart rate beating fast, to get my breath to shallow. There was no difference between actually experiencing the thing I was afraid of and just thinking about it. This is a major thing I want you to take away from this video. Those two things are the same. Being in an actual scary situation in this three-dimensional world and just thinking about something you're afraid of, those two things feel the same in your body. So by letting your thoughts run amok, letting your thoughts be anxious, you are actually putting yourself in danger. You know what I'm saying? When you sit in meditation, you're able to look at these thoughts and realize they are just thoughts. I have a yoga teacher who likes to say, there is no bear in the room. There's nothing that's gonna kill you. You are doing this to yourself. When you realize that, it's liberating. It's the first step towards relief. But you gotta meditate in order to even get there. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not one of those yogis who meditates for 2 hours every day. I aim for 30 minutes every day. Some days it's an hour, some days it's 5, some days it's 2. But every day I close my eyes and I sit still. No exceptions. There has not been one day that has passed in the last 2 years where I have not done this, because I see the effect and I see what happens if I skip it. Let's say you want to go fishing. Okay, let's say you're a vegan and you want to go foraging. If you got a basket to collect berries, but it's got a hole in the bottom, good luck. You are not gonna be able to catch anything, and you're gonna return home after a long day of work feeling empty, feeling drained, not being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Think of meditation as the act of mending that basket, making sure it's tight with no holes in it at the beginning of every day, so that everything that comes into your space can be accepted, embraced, and taken advantage of. It's making sure that you are right before you go and give any service to this world, or take anything from this world. Because if you are not complete in yourself, you're only gonna cause a mess everywhere you go. You know how when you ride airplanes, they say, in case of an emergency, put your own mask on before helping your loved one. Even if you got a little baby, put your own mask on. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you expect to take care of anyone you love? And a big trap we all get into is the virtue trap of thinking, I gotta be appearing so virtuous and so good and so holy that I need to neglect myself. I need to be doing all these things for other people so they'll think favorably of me. But it doesn't matter to me how I think about myself in my own head, how much I deprecate myself, how much I neglect my health. That's fine as long as I'm able to show for other people and they think of me favorably. What? I got some news for you. Your thoughts actually create your reality. So it's meaningless if other people think of you favorably. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you if your own self-image is rotten. The same way that your own self-image will be rotten if you have a messy room, if you forget to shower every day, if you never brush your teeth. If you forget to do this spiritual hygiene of meditation, your self-image is gonna go down. Whether you're consciously thinking about it or not, this is what your subconscious will be thinking about. Every day you look on your phone, you see other people who are doing all this self-care stuff. And sure, some of it's excessive, some of it wouldn't work for you, but inevitably you will be comparing it with what you do for yourself. Because that's all our phone is. That's all anything in this world is. It's a mirror. You look at someone you love and you think about how you are in comparison to them. You check into a hotel and you think about how your home compares to the hotel. Everything is a mirror. So if you don't look good in the mirror, you better start meditating. Because only when you close your eyes are there no more mirrors. Is there no image of self? There's no more ego when you're meditating. Because you actually cease to be yourself. You can't see yourself. You can't see the environment you're in. You're just alone in your brain. And the real turning point in meditation for me was realizing that I am not my thoughts. I am the observer of my thoughts and actually the creator of my thoughts. And I do this guided meditation with myself that I've actually posted here on this channel, where you pretend you're in a movie theater and you look at your thoughts on a movie screen and you realize you can turn them off at will. You can change the channel at will. And so your head is actually made up of so many different voices that are all chattering at the same time. Meditation is learning how to shut those voices up respectfully so that you can get to the more subtle layers of consciousness. So that you can get past your intellect, past your reasoning, towards your intuition, towards your sixth sense, towards that deep layer of yourself that is a doorway to the root of creation, to the oneness that unites everything. Everything in this physical world is dual. Like Newton said, every action got an equal opposite reaction, right? Everything in this physical world is transactional, whether we like it or not. When I eat an egg, a baby chicken that might have been born can no longer be born. When I plant a tree, I'm taking water away from the other trees around it. It's unavoidable. It's not anything to lament or get existential about, it's just the truth. But the good news is there is a realm where we transcend this duality, and it's only accessible through meditation. In yoga, we call it the 5 koshas, the 5 layers of your body, right? We have the annamaya kosha, the food body, the physical body that you can hit and touch and feel. Then beneath that, you have the pranamaya kosha, the energy body, that you can access through breath, and it's how you take energies from outside and turn them into what you see as yourself. When you inhale, those molecules of air now live inside of you. When you exhale, you're taking that energy and transmuting it. But yogis believe that it's not just oxygen and hydrogen and all the other molecules in the air. It's actually life force itself that hangs in the air. That's the pranamaya kosha. Then you have the manomaya kosha, which is your thoughts, your intellect, your emotions, right? All these thoughts that you think are yours. Beyond that, you have the vijnanamaya kosha, or the intuitive body. This is the layer of thought that gets a little bit deeper, where now you're communicating with beings outside yourself. You're able to listen and receive messages from the universe. And then inside of that, we have the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss body, where you realize you really ain't nothing. Your body is just a vessel, and when this vessel expires, you will return to the unified field. So that's what I learned doing meditation. Beyond that, I've learned to control my thoughts. So if I have a negative thought like this, I can transmute it into a positive one and not dwell on it, not let it grow a force of negativity in my mind. I can nip it right in the bud and move on to have a more enjoyable experience of life. It taught me to tune into the subtle messages of my body. Constantly, our body is tingling all over, but we're so distracted that we're not listening to it. When you sit in meditation, you can focus on the base of your spine, you can focus on the area between your eyebrows, your pinky finger, every point in your body. You can feel the sensations. You can feel the work happening in your body, and you can understand that your body is the most sophisticated gadget on this earth. There's constantly something going on in there, and when you listen to it, you can revere it so much more. You can understand how amazing this temple of your body is, how sophisticated, advanced, and intelligent it is. So I can confidently say after 2 years of meditating every single day nonstop, I will never stop, because it makes makes life experiences brighter. It helped me quit marijuana after 3 years of a horrible addiction. It helped me quit watching porn. It helped me quit scrolling on my phone excessively because I realized that meditation is it. Meditation is the highest state. No sensory pleasure can feel that good because when you withdraw from your senses, in yoga we call that pratyahara, and you see what's beyond your senses, you realize that senses are just little specks of sensation. There is so much more sensation to be experienced beyond that. So that's the whole iceberg of meditation's benefits. I hope I've convinced you to start if you never have, and I hope if you're a seasoned practitioner, you're able to think about it differently after this conversation. So let's say you've never meditated before. Here's what I would do to start. 5 words. Enjoy the act of sitting. Forget about emptying your thoughts. Forget about all that esoteric stuff I just mentioned. Enjoy the act of sitting. That goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, where stillness is a rebellious act. You don't need to go to the club to enjoy yourself. You don't need to go to the movies to enjoy yourself. You can enjoy yourself just by sitting, and that is so powerful. That means nobody has power over you. If you can find joy right here in this moment just by sitting, then you're unstoppable. So set a timer on your phone for 3 minutes and just enjoy the act of sitting with your eyes closed for 3 minutes. If you have trouble with that, do it again the next day. If it's easy for you, boost it to 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, as long as you want to go. And don't think about anything besides enjoying the act of sitting. Once you get comfortable with that, after a week or so, you're welcome to move on. You can bring yourself to breath awareness meditation, where you're trying not to think about anything except the cool air entering your nostrils and the warm air leaving your nostrils. That is going to quiet your thoughts, calm your anxiety, and bring you deeper into the island of yourself. And then finally, you can move on to gratitude meditation, where you just sit in meditation and list all the things you're grateful for. It has amazing effects on your heart consciousness, on every cell in your body. And if you don't believe me, you got to try it and you'll see the benefits yourself. So those are just 3 ways to meditate. There are infinite ways, and what I do every day is I post guided meditations on this channel that you can watch and meditate along to. So be sure to go check those out. Namely, the highest self meditation that's going to get you in tune with your future self, bending your perception of time. Also the forgiveness meditation, which is going to help you sit down with your younger self and with the inner child of all your enemies. Again, you're going to be bending time. You're going to be increasing your compassion. And as I alluded to earlier, the movie theater meditation, which is going to help you gain power over your thoughts. Realize that you are not your thoughts, just the creator of your thoughts. So those are 3 meditations I recommend for either a beginner or an advanced practitioner. It's going to be beneficial for everyone. I hope you found this conversation useful. Let me know how I changed your perception of meditation. Let me know why you feel motivated to go do meditation right now. And if you're an experienced meditation practitioner, let me know below what the most great transformative meditation moment you ever had was. I'll tell you what mine was. I was sitting in a community garden in the East Village in New York, where I'm from. And I was just meditating one day after a yoga class, and suddenly, boom, it was crazy. Time stood still. I didn't realize at the moment, but 4 hours passed. And I felt like I was the soil. I felt like I was the trees. I felt like I was the bees and the bugs buzzing around. I don't know how to explain it besides one word: interbeing. Everything was connected. And I've never looked at life the same way again. I've never shoplifted again after that. I've never been able to intentionally be rude to somebody after that. Yeah, I could never see life the same because I realized that I am you and you are me. As cliche as it sounds, that's what I realized after 2 years of meditation. That all these cliches are really true. Let's take a deep breath together right now. Inhale deeply through your nose and feel the air all the way from the base of your spine up to the top of your head. And exhale gently through your mouth, through thinly pursed lips, like you're exhaling through a straw, and surrender to the universe. Offer yourself up to the world and allow whatever happens to happen. I love you dearly. I hope this charged you up with as much energy as I'm feeling right now. Be sure to check out the rest of my videos. I'm a solo traveler. I post travel vlogs. I'm a yoga teacher. I post yoga instructional videos and all those guided meditations I mentioned earlier. I love you dearly. I'll see you next time. Just remember, you're always perfect. Don't change a thing. Peace and love.